it is rather difficult to come up with a suitable description of our identity, as we are the product of the amalgamation of our history of exchanges and periods of rapid change that often go unnoticed or unrecognised as self-defining moments. So what this means is that we think of ourselves as static, unchanging people, travelling through a changing world. What we actually do is change with our world, matching experience with emotion and response. The common example is when you look at a photograph of yourself from no more than a few months ago and realise how much you've changed. The more you look at this photograph, the more you reflect on what was significant to you at the time. What were you thinking and feeling? Suppose that in between the present time and the time that you took the photograph, you submitted a large assignment, lost a close friend or gained a close friend, or moved away to a new residence or city. It is these small changes that form the wrinkles and folds in our long timeline of our life. Without aids like the photograph I mentioned, these changes aren't noticeable to our memory. Similarly, music is a vessel for raw emotion and provides us with the same experience. We invest emotion within music when we listen to it. We think to ourselves, these lyrics capture what I feel and help us to define our emotion and experience. But this emotional experience is quickly forgotten, as this raw emotion is released through the song and contained with the lyrics. It is only when we revisit the song that we too revisit these emotions. When I consider the timeline that is my listening history, I distinctly remember and think of artists like John Mayer, Jack Johnson, Justin Vernon, Dave Grohl, Marcus Mumford, Matt Corby and John Butler. Vastly different musicians in their own right, but for me they've always represented the same figure. A reflective, deep-thinking, expressive, intelligent, conscious, self-critical activist. Retracing the steps of my previous self, I reflected on the different ways that I have perceived these various artists. When I first encountered Jack Johnson in 2005, I had just received my first steel string acoustic guitar and began learning the basic chords. I gravitated to Johnson's simpler songs, specifically the ones I could play. Sitting, Waiting, Wishing, Flake, and Bubble Toes. I fantasized about performing these as I listened with my headphones to my iPod Nano. In 2009, I found my way back to Jack Johnson in a big way, after the release of his album Sleep Through the Static. When listening to Johnson again, I was greatly moved by the lyrics of all of his songs. It made me appreciate the mellow guitar strumming even more, and I found myself saying, this is what music should be, simple but profound. Poetic lines like, we went beyond where we should have gone, and who needs peace when we've got clubs? 2 albums have been released since then, and I still regularly play and listen to Johnson's songs, remembering these early guitaring experiences and the realization of what he is really singing about. I distinctly remember the day that I found out about John Mayer's vexed history in the eye of the media. I was listening to his version of Tom Petty's Free Falling, live in LA, and Mum looking over my shoulder commenting, "He sounds so beautiful, doesn't he? It's a shame he's such a cow." I turned around vigorously, feeling somewhat offended by what my mum had said. "What? Yeah, he really has said some inappropriate things," my mum defended. I spent the next few hours reading into his more notable comments, like, "My penis is a white supremacist," or describing his ex-girlfriend Jessica Simpson as a sexual napalm. For a little while after that, I didn't listen to John Mayer, confused by why he wrote seemingly thoughtful, humble music with great integrity. I recall the emptiness of no longer being able to identify with his music. In my final weeks of Year 12 schooling, I was preparing a long speech for graduation day. I was simultaneously trying to negotiate the stress of pleasing my principal and digest the gravity of completing 7 years at high school, while accurately summing up the major lessons that I had learnt during high school. As I always did, I turned to Marcus Mumford, John Mayer and Dave Grohl for their wise words. On this occasion, Dave Grohl had the goods with lyrics. "It's times like these we learn to live again. It's times like these we'll give and give again. It's times like these we'll learn to love again. It's times like these, time and time again." I thought about all of these lyrics individually. Perfect, I thought. School really has taught me a great deal about learning, living, giving and loving. I changed these words, however, to capture a few of the more essential, special moments I had at school. For example, "It's times like these I'll miss getting bagged out." And if you're on your phone in class, you'll get kicked out. It's times like these I'll think of what I'll miss. The school dance where we all had our first kiss. About a week before I gave this speech, I was told by my principal that I couldn't sing it, as he didn't think the song was relevant enough to the whole school, and that he thought it would be too informal for the graduation ceremony. Save it for one of your other speeches, he said. But I was determined to do it, because I knew that it was an opportunity to capture my school days properly. So one morning I showed up to his office with my guitar, and once again asked him to reconsider letting me perform my version of Times Like These by the Foo Fighters, and I played it for him, and he actually let me sing it. On the very rare occasion that I listened back to this song, or even the original version by the Foo Fighters, it still evokes strong nostalgic feeling, not unlike those I was feeling on my graduation day. Without this song, I wouldn't have the ability to revisit my graduation and schooling so vividly. In short, these histories of listening are our biographies, and tracing them leads to very explicit and vivid memories and emotions. Thank you.